Hi everyone, welcome. This is Roxanne. I just want to thank you guys for joining, and for those who have been subscribing, thank you. And please go ahead guys, like, view, share, and also subscribe. All right, so I want to talk to you guys today about being triggered. All right, so being triggered means having that negative emotional response to a situation in the past, for example. So feelings of frustration, feeling angry, feeling shocked and very overwhelmed and troubled when you're, connecting or you're recalling something from your past. That is an example of being triggered. And you can be triggered in several ways. For example, you're walking through a dark room and you can remember things of your past where you were attacked in a very dark environment. So that's just one way that you can be triggered. It could be seeing the darkness that triggers you and it reminds you of what you've been through, or you could be triggered by a sound. Maybe there is a sound that you've heard before in the past and it brings back horrible memories of being abused in a relationship, for example, or just going through a difficult time in your life. So that could be a trigger for you. For other persons, it could be just a scent that brings back a negative emotional experience. So people are being triggered for just about any situation in your past. A trigger is a sign that there's still there's still something that's going on, still some past, feelings or trauma that you need to work through. So one of the things that we could actually do, we can learn from our triggers. So if you find yourself like feeling panicked in an environment, or you're hearing the voice of someone that brings back a bad, horrible experience, you might want to think through a little bit to see what's going on. Why am I being triggered by this person's voice? What does this remind me of? Why am I feeling this way, and why am I reliving something that I've gone through? So it might mean that you have to try to get some work done through those negative encounters. So talking to your mental health provider is a good start. Sometimes doing it on our own, it might not be that easy. And if you're finding difficulties trying to work through this on your own, then maybe it's a sign that you have to get that mental health professional work done. Another thing that, and then I definitely want to just kind of touch on, if you haven't gone through a provider, there could be some other things that you could do, some self-help tips that you could actually incorporate into your everyday routine. So, one of the things that you want to try to do if you're being triggered, you want to do a lot of self-talk. So you're going through that dark room, for example, and you are remembering that you were actually robbed on a dark, lonely road. And you're just kind of remembering everything. You're breathing hard. You're feeling as if you're gonna, pass right out. So it's really important in that moment, because you might not be able to call for help in that particular moment, for example. So you could do your self-talks. You could definitely do some, I am going to be fine. I'm going to be okay. I've overcome my past situation. I am not going to allow the past to define my current situation nor my future. So you could certainly do some self-talks in that moment. Using a lot of affirmative words as well or statements can actually help you through when you're having those triggering moments. So you're still going through that dark room and you're experiencing those physical reminders of what you have been through. So it would be good to use affirmative words. I am fine. I am doing better. I am stronger. Those words, affirming yourself and the progress that you have made as well. Another important thing that you want to do if you're feeling triggered, again, there's several different triggers for persons. It could also be, it could be a smell. So you're smelling this particular smell and it's bringing something back, a horrible experience that you had in your childhood days. And sometimes we are not able to, and this is the tricky thing with being triggered, sometimes we don't necessarily in that moment can identify what the past situation might be. So it's good to get into your one-on-one with somebody you trust and love, and you could actually talk that through again and to just see, I remember that smell, and I was just in tears, I was breathing, I felt panicky. All these things were going on just because of a smell, and I'm not sure what happened in that moment. And just kind of sitting things through and talking it out a little bit to somebody you love and trust, you might be able to identify some things that's going on. Oh my goodness, it was really that scent, and it reminded me of back in the day when I, what happened when we were growing up, or whatever the case might be. So it's good to do those conversations. Just being very open and honest with your struggles can be very helpful, and it can help you to ease the stress of the being triggered by a situation and being feeling so overwhelmed with not understanding exactly what's going on. All right, so those are some things that you could do, and I want you to go back and just take a look at deep breathing. You want to make sure that you're using your deep breathing in that moment. If I'm being triggered, for example, I hear someone's voice and it's reminding me of, for example, an abusive relationship. So I'm hearing the sound of the voice and it's reminding me of abuse. It's reminding me of something that I went through. In that moment, it could be you're in a place where you cannot do anything much, right? So you're breathing hard, you're feeling shocked, you're feeling frustrated, and you're not sure what's going on. Suppose you're at work and this is, the voice of your boss that's reminding you of something that happened in a past relationship. No, you can't run away from work, right? So maybe in that moment, what you could do is simply do some deep breathing exercises. You could take your deep breaths in and out in that moment. You could do, add your self-talks to it. Quickly do something just to kind of help yourself a bit there. And, I would recommend after doing all of that, at the end of the day, you get into, where you could actually write things down a little bit, do a little bit of unpacking of the things that you've been through. You just want to navigate some of those difficult feelings that you experienced in that moment, perhaps at work. So you want to be able to face that trigger a bit by just kind of like, going deep in to see what exactly was going on. And sometimes in doing that, you could recognize that this is what was happening all along. I still haven't healed properly from some past traumatic events or situations. So it's really good to dig deep when you're triggered, and it's a sign for you to get some more work done. Don't feel frustrated. I think the first thing that happens when someone is triggered and, they feel as if they've gone through this and they're so tired and overwhelmed, you can get easily frustrated, right? But we're humans and we'll feel that way. But it's, it gives us a clear sign that, hey, I can still do some more work in this area and this is what's going on. So it's, it's very important to do that once it's happened. And what you'll find over time with being triggered and you're facing it, you're working on it, you're challenging yourself, you'll find that you've made some progress as well. So and one of the things that you identify even after being triggered, maybe you're feeling overjoyed that you've come so far and you're out of that situation. And I think that is a sign that there's some progress that's made. Initially when you're being triggered, for some persons, they'll find that they're so overwhelmed. For example, in being in a relationship that was abusive, maybe being triggered for the first couple of months, or the person might feel, like, oh my goodness, why did this happen to me? There's a lot of self-blame. But after a while, I feel like when you're at a place where you've healed, you're unpacked a bit, and if you're triggered again, you're actually rejoicing that you've come so far, and that's a sign of some progress. You're not angry at yourself anymore, but you're actually now rejoicing that you've done so much work. So triggers are really indicators of what's going on, but it also shows us a lot of signs in terms of healing that's needed to be done, or where you're at in terms of your journey for healing as well, and the necessary work that is for you to get done. All right, so it's very it's not fun to be triggered. It's not nice to go through all these negative emotions, but they can be very helpful signs and tools to show us where we're at and where we ultimately want to go. All right, so that's in a nutshell. I hope that I did say something to help you when it comes on to triggers. And please go ahead, look back on the deep breathing video. You could actually learn to do your deep breathing anywhere you are. You could do your deep breathing in just a short space of time, and it really helps, especially if you're feeling triggered. All right, so please guys, go ahead now, like, share, and subscribe, and see you again next time.